Do you support Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
Affordable Care Act.
And why is that?
Well, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Obama, so I don't support him in the Obama things that he's got going on. I'm actually really excited for President-elect Donald Trump, so.
Right. So you don't like anything Obama does, and you prefer the Affordable Care Act?
Absolutely.
Do you support Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
I support Obamacare.
So if you were a senator and you could vote today, you would vote to keep Obamacare instead of the Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
Do you support Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
I guess the Affordable Care Act?
And why do you prefer the Affordable Care Act over Obamacare?
I'm not really sure. My girlfriend supports Trump, so I go with whatever she says.
What is the main difference between Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act?
One is you pay, and then the other one is Obama pays for you.
Right, Obama pays, pretty big difference.
Pretty big difference.
I believe that Obamacare, the premiums are too high, so people end up paying more.
Right.
So I believe in the Affordable Care Act.
And so the Affordable Care Act is more affordable than Obamacare?
Right, correct.
Right.
Which is obvious based on the name.
It's in the name, right.
Right.
Why do you like the Affordable Care Act more than Obamacare?
Because I don't like Obama.
But you like the Affordable Care Act?
Yeah.
What if I told you Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are the same thing?
I cannot believe in the year of our Lord 2025, in the United States of America, there are people who live in this country who do not know that Obamacare was a slur by the Republicans for the ACA. I can't believe it. You know, the world used to think that Americans were intelligent and smart. But because of this TikTok, the world now realizes that Americans are easily manipulated, lied to, and they just absorb it into their brain.
Holy shit. I have been a skeptic from the beginning, but I think we're about to find out that the Democratic shutdown strategy was genius because the Washington Post just broke some news. And you're going to find out, even if you're not paying attention. But the health insurance marketplace just started showing people prices, even though open enrollment isn't available yet. What they found is because of Donald Trump, health insurance prices are set to increase by 18% this year. But that's not even close to the whole thing, because that 18% price increase doesn't include the subsidies expiring. Once you add in the cost that you're going to have to pay because Donald Trump's one big beautiful bill canceled the subsidies, the average annual cost for individual coverage is going to jump from $888 this year to $1,904 next year. That's a 114% increase in the cost of health insurance in 1 year. And if they find a way to preserve the subsidies, it will be exclusively because Democrats refused to let it go. And because Americans refused to buy the bullshit Republican lie that this was all about providing free health care for illegal aliens. This approval rating has already plummeted into the 30s because Americans know that when the government shuts down, you should probably hold accountable the people who run the government. But that's just political accountability. What happens when Americans see that Donald Trump is demanding $230 million in grievance payments from the Department of Justice, while at the exact same time they're asked to pay 114% more for health insurance for their family than they did last year? Americans are going to realize that the Republican Party that once only cared about millionaires and then only cared about billionaires now only cares about one man.
Once again, America shows, just how powerful political branding can be and how confusion can make people vote against their own interests. Recently, a video and several polls went, viral, showing MAGA voters saying they support the Affordable Care Act but hate Obamacare. The funny, and also sad part, they are literally the same thing, right? The Affordable Care Act, also known as the, ACA, was signed into law by President Barack Obama back in 2010. Its main purpose was to make healthcare more affordable and, accessible for Americans, especially for people who didn't get insurance through their jobs. It allowed young adults to stay on their parents' insurance until at age 26, banned insurance companies from denying people coverage for pre-existing conditions, and gave millions of low-income Americans health coverage through Medicaid expansion. But because it was, championed by Obama, critics, especially from the Republican side, started calling it Obamacare. That nickname stuck, and for years, MAGA politicians and conservative media used it like a curse word. They told people it was socialism. They said it was destroying America, and they turned it into a symbol of everything they hated about Obama himself. Hi guys, welcome back again to the YouTube channel. It's so good to have you. Thank you so much for clicking when you saw this video. So I'm going to let some of the clips roll about this whole Obamacare and what people have to say. Okay, then I'll come back with the commentary. Please let me know what you all think in the comment section, and credit to all creators on this video. So let's go watch, then I'll come back with more commentary.
There was a time before the Affordable Care Act, and I remember it. Gather round, if you weren't alive at that point, elder millennial, arguably close to Gen X, but somewhere in the middle here. Before Obamacare, When you graduated, you had no insurance. You were out on the street. Most likely you didn't have a job yet. Maybe you did. I had a 1099 job, so I didn't have a W-2. So I then had to get my own insurance. I'm like 24 years old-ish, 23, 24. I had had some migraines in college and just a few spatterings of issues here and there. And when I was on my parents' insurance, and when I asked to just like keep the same plan, they denied me due to pre-existing conditions. I applied to several other insurances, all denied me. And I was like a pretty healthy young adult. I just had like migraines. So the only thing I could sign up for was what's called a catastrophic plan. But those plans are like notoriously, they're kind of scammy sometimes. They don't kick in very fast. You don't get much care. So basically I spent a few years like without solid health insurance, just like hoping nothing happened, hoping nothing went wrong, paying out of pocket for any kind of medication that I needed. Eventually I got a W-2 job and then I got insurance. So fast forward to a few years later, they have Obamacare. Things that changed in Obamacare. No more denying people for pre-existing conditions, which is so cruel and evil. Like how that was a thing, it's just choosing money over people every time. And, you know, an unregulated business will do that, functionally speaking. They helped women get access to important care. I know for me as a young person, that was really, really vital because I needed, you know, to go to the OBGYN and do all the things that you do. Thank goodness there was like things like Planned Parenthood that women could get access. But before that, like it was really tricky. You had this situation where when it started, like almost everyone had to have healthcare. It was kind of like car insurance, actually. Like everyone had to have it. And what that did was make the rates really low. And that's why it was affordable, because when you have a bigger population of people, then it drives down the rates. So more people are insured at a lower rate. Then Trump came around. So he said, okay, well, I'm going to take away this mandate that says that you have to have insurance. And what that did was make the pool of people insured go down. And when that went down, the prices went up, because the more people that are paying into the system kind of helps the systems, or at least at that point, helps the system sort of stay affordable, because it's like, again, it's the reason why car insurance is actually kind of somewhat affordable, because it has a large pool of people paying into it. And so now the prices go way up, but then COVID happens and they really wanted people to be insured. And so they created subsidies to help make it affordable again. Now these subsidies were up for renewal this year. They chose not to renew it. So that means all these people for the past few years, like myself, who got laid off but still need health insurance because I have critical medical needs, have to use this one system, and now it's going to double, maybe even triple in price. Like they have the money. I mean, they literally have the money to pay for everyone's health insurance. Like it's a drop in the bucket. They don't want to do it, but that's another TikTok. Right now, we're fighting for these subsidies, which are totally important for people. If you are using the marketplace, it means that you either are laid off, you don't have a job, or you have a business that can't afford to provide healthcare, or you're a small business owner and this is how you get care. There's no safety net otherwise, really. So this is why we're shut down. This is why the subsidies are important. And this is why Obamacare is important. And frankly, I think Trump has had maybe 9 years to come up with some better idea that he hasn't. And so, unless there's a better idea out there, we need to take care of the system that's in place instead of trying to ruin it.
So fast forward a few years later, and what do we see now? Many of the same MAGA voters who used to scream, repair Obamacare, are now saying they love the Affordable Care Act, completely unaware they are defending the exact program, right? They don't know it's the same, right? You really can't make this stuff up. When reporters, ask MAGA supporters in several interviews if they like the Affordable Care Act, many said yes. They said things like, oh yeah, that one helped people, or that's way better than Obamacare. But when told that they are the same thing, their faces drop. Some, looked confused, others angry, and a few even refused to believe it. That's what happened when people don't look past the slogans and the talking points for years. Politicians trained a whole section of voters to hate anything connected to the same Obama, even if it was helping them. And here's the irony. Most people who got healthcare insurance because, of the ACA actually live in red states that voted for Trump. Millions of MAGA voters and their families use Obamacare, right, every other day without realizing it. Their kids go to the hospital because of it. Their parents get, prescriptions covered because of it. But because of politics and propaganda, they have been told it's evil. Let's be real. The name Obamacare became a political weapon. It wasn't about the policy anymore. It was about who created it. Some people didn't even bother to learn what it is or what it did. They just heard Obama and thought, nope, not for me.
Starting on November 1st, around 24 million Americans are going to start shopping for health insurance on the Affordable Care Act exchanges for next year. The government is currently shut down as Congress fights over whether or not to extend funding that help people pay for that coverage. If they don't reach a deal, all of those people are in for some serious sticker shock. So the original Obamacare passed in 2010, and it set up this system of income-based subsidies to help people buy their own insurance.
Millions of people will get tax breaks to help them afford coverage, which represents the largest middle-class tax cut for healthcare in history.
But over the years, a lot of people who they thought would sign up for insurance didn't because it was too expensive. So during the pandemic, they extended these subsidies to lower the price of insurance for almost everyone who bought it.
This is considered one of the biggest things my administration can do, lower cost and expand coverage.
And then what happened was the enrollment started skyrocketing. It's basically doubled. Ironically, a lot of the new enrollment did not occur in states that Democrats govern. It happened in places that we think of as being more Republican. Signups have more than tripled in a bunch of southern states. These are places where there were a lot of low-income people who worked in the kind of jobs that didn't offer them insurance. They are also states that decided not to expand Medicaid under Obamacare, and so that meant that those low-income people didn't have access to any other kind of government program to provide their insurance. If the subsidies don't get extended, on average, the amount people are going to pay for their insurance is going to double. But under the hood of that kind of average increase, there's actually quite a lot of variation. For really low-income people, imagine someone making about $22,000 a year. That person doesn't pay anything towards their insurance now. If the subsidies expire, that person will have to pay $66 a month. For someone earning around $35,000 a year, their premium will go up by $132. And for an older person who's making a little more, say around $65,000, their premiums are going to go up from a couple $100 a month to maybe as much as a couple $1,000s in the most expensive markets. Even though a lot of Republicans continue to dislike Obamacare, they have also come to realize that this is a policy that benefits a lot of the people they represent. There are quite a lot of Republican lawmakers who have publicly acknowledged that they would really like to have a solution to this problem to prevent their constituents from losing affordable health insurance. And I think that's why Democrats have chosen this issue. And I also think it's why there is a chance that there could be a bipartisan deal to extend this funding.
Obamacare was not a disaster, and I really wish y'all would stop spreading that lie. And it's got to be because either A, you're too young to remember what the financial market and environment looked like back in like 2006, 2008, or you got a very short memory. I entered the workforce back in 2006, the same year I entered college, and the minimum wage was $5.15 an hour. Maybe 1 or 2 years after that, it was $6.55 an hour. At $5.15 an hour, $6.55 an hour, you were not getting insurance through the company. I remember that vividly. That premium was going to at least eat up 1 week of your check, and you only making $200 a week anyway. And you for damn sure wasn't going to get it privately because the premiums are even higher. This is why people back in the day told y'all, get a job with the post office, get a job with the city, get a job with the state, work for the government. Why? Because you may not get rich working for the government, but them benefits are going to make sure you're taken care of. But if you want to know the value of the ACA, you can just look at the benefits they celebrate. Do you know how many people were denied coverage due to pre-existing conditions? Do you understand how many people had the prices of their insurance jacked up just because they got sick? Y'all are harder on this legislation than y'all are on the companies that cause need for legislation. High premiums existed long before the Affordable Care Act. High deductibles existed long before the Affordable Care Act. Medical debt definitely existed long before the Affordable Care Act. In fact, medical debt has always been one of the leading causes of bankruptcy in the United States. The Affordable Care Act was originally meant to be a step toward universal health care. The problem is nobody else has taken another step to actually accomplish the goal of universal health care for citizens of the United States. Y'all got to start doing some research on your own instead of regurgitating these talking points that are completely unfounded.
This is the same kind of thinking that been, dividing Americans for years, where people care more about who said something than, what was actually said. But let's imagine for a moment that you are a working class American living in a small town. You don't make a lot of money. Your job doesn't give you health insurance. And one day, your state expands Medicaid under the ACA. Suddenly, you can go to the hospital without worrying about a massive bill. You are, kind of relieved, thankful, and maybe even proud that your government finally helped you. Then, you turn on the TV and a MAGA politician tells you Obamacare is destroying this country, so you start hating Obamacare. Even though that's the very reason you can now afford your medication. That's how misinformation works. It uses emotions to, blind people from facts. This whole situation shows how powerful political messaging can be. Republicans spent years branding Obamacare as a bad, even though many of, their voters loved what it actually did. This is a perfect example of how words can shape opinions more than reality. Some MAGA supporters even said they liked the Affordable Care Act because it sounded patriotic. Think about that. Same law, same benefit, same coverage, but one name sounds American and the other name sounds political. That tiny difference changed everything. And that's not just funny, it's tragic, right? Because it means people are making life-changing decisions based on branding, not facts. It means politicians can manipulate voters just by changing the label on something. The deeper problem here is trust. MAGA followers have been trained not to trust anything associated with Democrat, no matter how beneficial it is. So even when they benefit from, policies that help them, they still think it's bad. If a Democrat proposes it, that's not democracy. That is brainwashing. What's even more ironic is that Donald Trump, himself promised a replace Obamacare with something better for years, but he never did. There was no, Trump care, and even after he left office in 2016, millions of these supporters still rely on the, same Affordable Care Act that they claim to hate. In the end, this story is bigger than healthcare. It's about how divided, America has become, not by class or, geography, but by manipulation. The, Affordable Care Act helped millions of people, including conservative liberals and everyone in between. But because it carried Obama on it, it became a political football. Now, years later, MAGA voters are realizing that the thing they were, taught to hate might have been saving their lives all along. Maybe the lesson here is simple. Before we judge something by the, label, we should also look at what it actually does, because at the end of the day, healthcare isn't about left or right. It's about whether people can afford to see a doctor when they are sick. And if you love the affordable healthcare but hate Obamacare, you might need to take a closer look at what's really going on, not just in politics, but in how you are being told to think, because this is actually where the problem lies for a lot of these MAGA voters. They have been taught and be brainwashed about, to hear anything that has to do with the whole Obama. They believe so much that Obama is the problem, not the care, right? Now, they are very okay with Affordable Care Act. And it's so shocking to me that a lot of them do not know the difference. And Google is actually free to make researches, but somehow a lot of them will prefer, to go for Affordable Care Act than Obamacare, forgetting that both are the same. Well, guys, let me know what your own take are in the comment section. I will really love to read from you guys. Okay, please share your take, educate us in the comments, and please do well to subscribe if you have not already. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up so that more people can see it. And credit to all creators on this video. I look forward to seeing you all on my next. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and see you all next time. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comment section. Bye, guys.